Good evening, you two. This is your man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, tonight, folks, it's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't care. I don't got a skin in no game. I haven't really watched Super Bowl in a long time. I used to remember when I was working my old job at the club. Super Bowl night was a big thing. People were there cheering, got chair straights, everything, food is out. But like I said, it's not much for me. I don't care. So anyway, folks, I enjoy getting the opportunity to talk to these competitors who are competing in bodybuilding. And just this young lady, she turned pro 2023 at the Nationals. She was double dipping. She's doing both women's physique and figure, and she won in her class, but also took second in another class. And that was in the figure class. You took second and you won in your physique class, right?
Correct.
All right. As you know, one of my quotes is from my master Razago told me, beware surroundings at all time. Never give up sure footing for a killing blow. So, so we're gonna talk to her. What's the plans now? Since it's been 2023, it's been at least about a little over a year since then, and talk about what she's gonna do, what her plans in, and what got us started in this sport. So welcome, ma'am. And we have here the lovely IFBB pro, Eleni Politis, if I got it correct.
Close enough. That's perfect.
Yeah.
It
I want
works.
to be. I try aligning. I want to be perfect because I want to because I don't want to mess it up. So yeah.
Got you. Got you.
So share your name with us and share your story. How did you start in this sport?
So my name is pronounced Eleni Politis. I was super athletic growing up, played a bunch of sports, and ended up going and playing softball in college, and became a kinesiology major. Thought the movement and the study of the human body was super interesting, and I always loved the lifting component in college. And trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life as a kinesiology major, there's not too many lucrative options, and they actually really deterred us away from becoming a personal trainer. They said the salary was awful, it was a big grind, and so I had found occupational therapy. And in certain sectors of occupational therapy, there's some physical therapy components in upper extremity. And so I kind of worked through my undergrad. I finished softball. I was actually really, really down once college ball was over. You go through your whole life, you have this identity, and it's just kind of taken away really quickly. And so I actually fell into personal training before I went off to occupational therapy school. And a few of the trainers that were there, super great at mentoring me, and they told me, they're like, you really have an act, like you should try bodybuilding. And I wasn't totally there yet. And then I got into OT school, and I kind of missed having some sort of athletics in my schooling with it. Just, it always helped me. And so I decided, 10 weeks out from a show, to enter my first bodybuilding competition, and I won the whole thing and I was hooked. So that kind of really sparked it. And I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, I know a lot of young ladies who get into this sport from an athletic background. Be it track, gym, basketball, wrestling. It's just bodybuilding can really, for a lot of competitors who get out of that lifestyle of being competitive in high school and college, it's something that gives you motivation to keep up with the fitness lifestyle. And kinesiology, I was studying massage therapy, and that's part of the curriculum at where I was going at. And it's good that you found something that really drives your passion, especially in education.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing. When I was 16, my parents sat me down for dinner and were like, hey, so what do you want to do with your life? I literally was like, well, I want to be happy. Like, I want to do what I love. And my parents told me, they're like, hey, you can't major in softball. Like, you need to have a career. And it's been so special to be able to kind of marry bodybuilding with my career. I'm super, super lucky.
Yeah, that's it. Because bodybuilding is a very tough sport. The work,
Mhm.
consistency, everything involved in it. Especially for women. I think society looks at it because it's so extreme, and the idea of women gaining muscle and building muscle, it's just kind of, it offends the everyday person. But as you know, one of my things is I have a crime. I want to admit it. I'm a muscle person. Mo. Just love y'all ladies. Y'all excite me. See, the other guy can come out, but that's a well. Here we
Oh,
get
yeah.
somebody here. Shout out to my man KLA the Wanderer. We just did a podcast this afternoon. He says, "Good evening to you, brother." Also, he want to ask you questions. Says, would you be my Valentine, Eleni? I'm joking. No, you're not. I know you're not joking. It is
Oh,
a decision.
sorry. I'm super,
So,
super sorry. I'm already taken. Thank you. I'm super, super
don't,
flattered.
don't apologize to him for that. He just he's a fan. He's a small like me, but he don't want to admit it. He has to stand a couple. So now, what was that experience like for you in that first show?
Well, it was honestly really chill. It was 10 minutes down the road from my house. It's kind of nice when you're doing your first show because you're kind of the new kid on the block. So no one really knows you. You don't know what to look for on social media. Like, I mean, I didn't know what competitors to look for. Like, I had truly no comparison besides like myself. And, you know, especially at least I hope your first show, you don't ever see yourself that lean or that conditioned. And so I honestly, that was probably my funnest show because I had nothing to compare it to. I got really lean, and it just was super fun. I think the timing, like of the 10-ish hours before stage time was really difficult for me, or like the 2 hours leading up, because I did not understand why I needed to shove a glob of jelly and salt in my mouth and then start like pumping up. So it just kind of was like a really it was really fun. That was probably my favorite show I ever did.
Yeah, I heard your story. Some, especially you got to think about it. You got to be on this stage, and this bright light set. You got the judge in front of you, judging you, see what you're gonna bring. Then some getting nervous. I had one lady told me that one time her first show, she got a little tipsy when she got on stage. Everybody's experience is different, but like I said, you've been on a big stage, you competed in sports, and you used to have people pay attention to you. Most people are not used to that because it's something different. And bodybuilding is very different, especially from the standpoint from an everyday person. Like one thing is when we go to the shows, we go see y'all on stage. We don't understand what took you get there. There's so much work involved in it. The diets, the consistency, the training. I mean, it's not as easy as most people think. Here we got a comment from a man. Shout out to my man K. Ellie says, "I know you must get a lot of guys approaching you as a bodybuilder. So what's that like? If everybody, what's the when you're out and about? You ever have people ask you questions or just curious about what you do? Because most everyday person don't know anything much about bodybuilding.
Usually so in my profession, so I'm a hand therapist. So it's usually patients that, notice and they'll say something and they're like, wow, that must be really hard. And, well, yeah, putting on tissue, and that part for me is more hard than the actual like prep. But for me having that like Division I college athlete background, being regimented, honestly, is like what helps me feel, complete, and kind of takes any sort of anxiety away. Like I know exactly what I'm going to eat at exactly what time. I know exactly when I'm going to do this. I know exactly when I'm going to do that. So for me, usually when people are approaching me, I'm telling them it's honestly really liberating as much as it seems restrictive. Because it gives me just a sense of like comfort that I know like what's coming throughout the day.
Yeah, there's so much involved in it, and and people have to be open minded too. Because I've been following sport for a long time, and I've seen how it's evolved and changed and grow. The divisions are added on to it, competitors here and there. I'm a fan of it. Like you said, like one thing you try to compare yourself to, like who's that person that you, especially as a bodybuilder, you follow that you say, wow, this is somebody that really I admire. Just the pinnacle of what our sport is.
When we kind of made the last minute call to do women's physique, it was super funny. My coach Justin Jacoby mentioned it like the morning before check-in, so it was literally less than 24 hours before the show. And he's like, "Let's do women's physique," and I'm like, "Absolutely not. There's no way I'm gonna learn like new poses in a few hours." And I went back to my hotel room, sat there and did some research, and I looked at Brooke Walker because I feel like her and I from a height standpoint have very similar structures. So for me, and I know she's not been recently competing at all, but for me, she's someone who I always looked at a lot from a women's physique standpoint. I think someone who's really great and I love watching as well as Rachel Daniels. She's just, her posing is just, insane. And she's just got, everyone talks about as males like the flow. She's got that female flow that's just so beautiful and powerful. So those are pretty much the two I've always kind of watched and tried to like, hey, these are people with similar body types to me, similar work ethics, similar personalities. So they're two competitors I've always really looked at.
Yeah, Brooke has been a top five competitor in the Olympics the last couple of years. She took a step back after her last placing. Rachel, we had seen her compete, I think, 2022. I'm seeing some pictures here and of her. Look like she might be getting ready for
She
this
looks
year.
insane. I hope she is. I'm really excited to see her on stage again.
Yeah, I remember I saw a picture of her at it was the class, and I think one of her clients was a lady named Tracy Jones, and they were standing together. And even though she was in her, she was dressed, she was wearing a pair of shorts, her quads would kill her. I mean,
Yeah,
she's a great style
absolutely
for her.
insane.
Yeah, I think Brooke might be coming back too. She don't know yet. I think she keeps everything close to the vest. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So as a competitor and just competing, you were originally figure, and you mentioned
Yes.
your coach. And how long y'all been together, and why did he tell you that you just want to switch to physique?
So Justin Jacoby and I have been working together since March of 2023. Prior to that, him and I were always good friends, and I think what always stood out for me with Justin, obviously he's a talented coach, but he always asked me like, "Hey, like, when are you gonna let me coach you? Like we can do this together." And I think as an athlete and competitor, we're always searching out and reaching out to other coaches, but having a coach like approach me to me meant so much more. And you can tell in his work and his detail that he does really care, and he did want to work with me. I mean, the way he is with me. And so we went through this whole nationals prep. I had such a solid prep to my qualifier, and then 5 weeks after my qualifier were nationals. I was already pretty lean for the qualifier. We were probably like 80% there. And those 5 weeks between my qualifier and nationals, I mean, I just got crazy, crazy peeled. And, we're filling out during peak week, and I'm just getting grainier and grainier. And I think my last pump workout was Wednesday, and I was filming, and I was, just being silly, hitting like side chests and stuff and like flaring my delts. And I was just grainy and striated. I mean, even my back shot, my glutes were striated. So we're checking in Thursday morning after a meal, and, he's like, "Hey, do this." And, side chest, "Hey, do this. Hey, hit this ab and thigh." And he's like, "Let's do women's physique. Like, you are just so peeled. It would be a disservice not to."
Yeah, things we say you peeled, like just cut, like everything's popping, everything's
Yeah.
vascular, just crazy.
Yeah.
I know you probably decided, say, you know what, figures just, I don't know, but you still stayed in figure, and that was a good thing too. That's where you get your pro card
Yeah.
there,
And
and then go ahead.
yeah, and I mean, figure to me, I mean, it was my first home, and I just think for me, figure is just it's such a beautiful division too. I mean, you have to have muscle, but it has to be symmetrical and proportional. But then you have to sit there in heels and do all the poses. Like, so it's each it's almost each pro show you're not sure what they're going to shoot for with figure. Do they want the person who's more conditioned? Do they want the more shapely figure gal? So I've always thought figure was just such a grind too. So I'm definitely staying women's physique, but gosh, figure, I love watching figure still.
Yeah, I know some competitors who start out at figure, they love it at first, but then the problem is the high heels. I mean, you get tired after a while.
I'm not going to
You
say I don't
know,
miss those.
I mean, I know one lady, she earned her pro cards as a figure competitor, said she loved her high heels. She used to be on a treadmill while wearing them. I mean, that's
Oh no.
dedication.
No, that I would break an ankle for sure.
Yeah. So while I got Eleni here, what we're gonna do is going to jump into her social media for a bit. If you want to follow her, the links in the description of the live stream. Also, an interview with my man David for Feeling by a Four. You want to watch that? Get your replay of that video. It's also in the link here. This is a disclaimer. I do this, Eleni. I do this as a disclaimer to guys out there who follow my channel, who follow my content, who's a fan of you ladies. And when you follow them on social media, guys, I tell you not to do this. This is respectful, guys. No D pics. Stop it. Get some help. What's wrong with you? Come on. I mean, I've been here. I've been doing this content for a while. I hear stories. And guys can be either really nice, too nice, or just mean. So so folks, like I said again, if you want to follow Eleni, her link is in the description of this slide and support her in her path as a bodybuilder. And here we go here, and right here, and excuse me, sorry, I guess wait a minute, here you go. Sometimes, yeah, give me a second. I had it, and something happened. Oh, give me a second. Yeah, it's my old man eyes pops out every
No,
now and
you're
then.
good. No worries.
All right, you should have it here. I know I had it. I had it. There we go. Here we go. And get a second. And here he is. And here you are with this. Who's this young lady with you?
So that's my girlfriend Morgan.
And how long y'all been together?
Oh, we have been together for 2 years now.
Uh-huh. And she supports your path. Has she ever thought about competing herself? Because she looks in good shape herself.
She Oh my God, she would be the most bomb bikini competitor. Like she would look insane. She has no desire to get on stage, which I mean, I think when a lot of competitors have people who are in relationships and both are competing, it's really hard. So I almost kind of appreciate that I know I consistently have this person who is able to give me that 100% energy and support throughout prep. I don't know how couples prep at the same time. I give them props.
Yeah, I know quite a few couples. I got a friend of mine. Him and his wife. They just did shows last year. He was doing one show in Reno. She was doing one in Anaheim, California, and they also have two kids. They run a business.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Here it is. We heard talking right
The
here.
most important thing is to make sure that you stay prepared. So generally when I'm traveling, what I'll do is I'll make sure I have a protein source, a carbohydrate source, and a fat source, just so I can at least supplement some macronutrients quickly and easily. My protein source is usually protein powder. My fat source is usually almonds, and my carbohydrate source goes between rice cakes and those bags of like the 90-minute rice that I can heat up in the microwave. I always make sure wherever I'm staying has some sort of microwave or a way to heat my food up. And then I'm always researching the areas around me to see what kind of restaurants, so that if I need to pivot quickly, I can utilize food source at those restaurants. And most importantly, I'm always making sure if I'm traveling and I'm not in prep, I'm allotting for a meal with my loved ones and just making sure I get my protein in for the day, but always making sure wherever I go, I'm enjoying meals with the people that I care about.
That's nice. I know being a bodybuilder, sometimes when you're traveling, doing shows, you gotta find the right places to eat, a place that you can train and rest, and also save the cost of expense.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what's
That's my
that?
biggest thing.
Yeah. So what's that? What's been like for you since it's been since 2023 as a pro? What's the plan now
Well,
for
we we
competing?
sp-
Are you
we
thinking about?
spent we spent the past year just trying to grow. I did sustain a little bit of a back injury in the summertime of 2024, which obviously is not ideal. But yeah, that's our plan, is to try to compete late this year, just depending on how I continue to grow and all that jazz. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. Just enjoying all the food and just trying to drive performance.
That's a good thing, dude. Take that time, because you know what? Bodybuilding is not going anytime fast. And
Yeah.
some people, I recently talked to a couple of ladies who just got their pro cards last year, and they want to hit the ground running. But sometimes there's been ladies who competed for a long time. They don't want to wait. They feel like they're ready. But like I said, with you want to take the time to grow, to increase. And also, injuries do get sidelined for a while. I've seen ladies that just recently saw a lady who I follow, Hel Trevino, just had surgery on her knee.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, and
Mhm.
she's been a top 3 competitor, 2-time Rising Phoenix champion. In bodybuilding, and she also, I remember this was almost 2 years ago, and she dealt with another injury. And I know a few years back, she had an injury where it put her out for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's good that you are taking care of your problems and taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and with what I do for work professionally, I work for one of the best hand surgeons in the country, and you know, as a occupational therapist working in upper extremity rehab, there's a board exam called a certified hand therapy exam, and that is a daunting exam. I think the pass rate for that round that I took was like 50%. So professionally, I wanted to also focus on getting that under my belt before I considered putting myself through another prep.
Yeah, you know, it's a process that bodybuilding is. But here's the thing: is like, luckily you got a good coach like Justin who understands the process, who's focused on building you as an athlete,
Yep.
and also strengthening your weakness. Like after the nationals, like often competitors like to get the critique from the judges
Yeah.
and the feedback. So, what was the feedback from the judges after that show?
So feedback from a presentation standpoint, surprisingly they were really happy with my posing, which again, I learned Christina Mendoza with KJ Center Stage. Her and Justin taught me how to do all the women's physique poses in like 30 minutes. So that was awesome to hear that presentation was good. They liked my conditioning. They said it was A+. I just need to bring in a wider and a more dense back and bigger shoulders coming forward.
Yeah, Christina Mendoza, who is number 5 in the world, and
Absolutely insane.
yeah, I mean, you know, amazing lady, following content, you know, good poser. I know quite a few competitors who have worked with her. I recently
Yeah.
just talked to a lady who was one of her clients. Here we got a comment here from a man, KL. He says this. Um, he says, sometimes I eat rice cakes. Do you get tired of eating the same food? I know that's the thing about bodybuilders. You have to have a consistent diet. You can't, unless it's like maybe you get a little cheat meal, refeed every now and then. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. You ever get tired of eating the same thing?
I think one of my good buddies, you know, always said to take the emotional component out of food. I think as a society we put so much like that dopamine or that reward system on food and variety. And for me, like even before bodybuilding, like food to me was never a huge motivator. Or even like, hey, if I this many weeks and then I get to my refeed, that was never really a thing for me. So I think mentally, and maybe this goes back to athletics, like the food is like part of the mission. Like it's just what you're supposed to do. So for me, like I have energy, like I'm happy, I'm healthy, like with what I'm doing, it's not broke, so don't fix it. So I wouldn't say I ever get really sick of eating the same food. I more so, if I do feel like I want to mix it up, I just use different condiments. So, like right now, I'm on this like sugar-free sweet chili sauce kick, and maybe you know, in a couple weeks, I'll want sugar-free ketchup again. Obviously, when prep comes into play, you kind of have to tighten up with condiments and stuff like that. But that's kind of how I keep variety is with seasoning and condiments.
Yeah, I know. Food is a very important component to be a bodybuilder. And you're, as you know,
Yeah,
you're Greek, and that's you know, they are like Italians, Black people. Food is very traditional
we
for
love
us,
our
especially.
food. Yeah.
Yeah, we love our foods like holidays.
Yep.
I know your mother cooked a big old, dinner for the holidays because
Yep.
Christmas and Thanksgiving just passed. And then, one thing is like people don't understand that you can't eat that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're right now you're growing your process, and that ham smells good, that turkey and rice smells
Yeah.
good, that the green beans like that, but you got to eat your dry chicken and your quinoa because you're trying to grow. And the states,
Yeah.
this is for the great C CT Fletcher says, like, you don't eat for the taste, motherfucker. You
No.
eat for the building body, and that
Yes,
that's a
absolutely.
legend. So we have your
Yeah, I mean,
comment. Go ahead.
well, and I mean, all of us that were doing nationals and those who do nationals, we are 2 weeks out during Thanksgiving. So like we don't get Thanksgiving. We have to sit there with our family like a shell of a human, and every family member is like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "No, I'm starving."
Yeah. Like, what's the family dynamic? Your mother, your father, any brothers and sisters?
So I have one older brother and then my mom and my dad, but I'm from Chicago, so I live now in Washington State. So holidays are always a little difficult. My brother's down in California, so really I've only been out here for 2 years, and I went home so much the first year I was out here. All of 2024, I made the agreement. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go home. I'm gonna live out in Washington. I'm gonna do Washingtonian things. So like holiday wise, it really just like, hanging out with my girlfriend's family. She has a little bit of Filipino in her brother-in-law side, so we get really good Filipino food, along with the traditional, American holiday turkey, mashed potatoes type of stuff.
Yeah, no. My family for Thanksgiving, they were out of town. My two older sisters. It was like growing up, there was at least six of us, and
Oh my
my parents would
gosh.
give. Yeah, actually, it would have been a little bit more, but I had a brother pass away at childbirth. My father actually had a son before he married my mom, and he had a daughter after my. They went their separate ways. But
Uh-huh.
even though there's like at least technically at least should be at least 9 to 10 of us, but there was six of us living together, and plus my two nephews, they grew up like my brothers, and I
Oh
can say
wow.
that's a very big family if you look at it. And I'm an uncle and a great uncle, and it's good to have that bond with your family, that closeness. And I
Yes,
know,
absolutely.
yeah, and your dad's a traditional Greek man. He's saying like, what, his daughter is putting these muscles and building the body, and what are you doing? I mean, and your mom says, sweetheart, you just, I already have a son. Why need another?
Well, I was a competitive figure skater growing up. So, besides softball, that was my other sport. I was the wake up at 3 a.m. before school, go skate for 2 hours, get to school late. Like I ate and lived figure skating. So I think for them, I mean, they think a lot of this is genetics, which it is. Honestly, like I wouldn't, like just naturally, I've always had bigger shoulders. I've always had bigger arms. So they've never really honestly said anything from that standpoint of being too muscular. So I just think they think, that Greek Spartan blood is what's carrying me.
Spots,
Yep,
Spartans.
exactly.
You're like, this doesn't say this is madness. This is not madness. This is Sparta.
Exactly.
Yeah,
All the time. Yes.
yes. So you're gonna kick a person in the chest down a hole. Okay,
Yep. Precisely.
that'd be great. That'd be a great, like, if you ever do some guest posing, you can do you put on a Spartan helmet and whoo, whoo, whoo,
I got to work with
whoo.
Christina a few more times before I'm ever asked for some guest posing.
That's good. You ever think about it? Here we got a comment from a man, KL. He says this. He says, "Shut KL." He says, "How big do you want to get in competing? Because, like I say, you're still growing. How far you want to go? Because
Well,
you're
yeah, I've
well,
never put a specific number on, weight or like what I want to step on stage as. I pretty much just want to get as big as I need to be competitive. Again, like Brooke Walker, she's definitely got muscle on her, but she's not huge by any means. And, the girls that are placing lower than her probably have, 10 to 15 pounds on her, if not more, on stage. And, that's relative to height. I myself am only 5'1 3/4", so I'm also shorter. And I'm blessed. I have a smaller hips, so my waist is pretty small too. So the goal isn't just to be this mass monster, and I think that's what I really love about bodybuilding nowadays. Even in like the men's open bodybuilding, you're not seeing the guys that look like refrigerators, get rewarded for that. You're seeing everyone needs to be aesthetic. And so I kind of just, honestly, I want to get as big as I need to be, be successful. And I really, honestly, before size, I think posing for me really is going to be the name of my game, to pose bigger.
yeah. I think everybody has their look that they want to go with. Brooke's a good
Mhm.
example. You look at Sarah, you look at someone Natalia Cuejo, you look at
Yep.
Zama Benta, who was one time she was a top three.
Yeah.
It's just getting to the point where, as you were doing crossovers, that's the thing about it, because you're doing
Yeah.
both figure and physique. And I interviewed a lady who also, she won the overall in, in figure, and also she got a pro card in physique. That was Michelle Johnson, who also competed. It showed you were, I think you're both competing overall in figure. She won
She
that
won overall in women's physique.
over women's physique.
And
Okay,
then,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
she won in her class in figure. But
Figure,
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and I've interviewed one lady. She earned her pro cards in three, only like two divisions,
Wow.
and
3.
two and one of them was in two divisions in two different classes in physique,
Uh-huh.
and it's just what it is. I think it's so easy to cross over these divisions now. When you look at the girls in
Hmm.
figure, and the girls in physique. You look at right now, Sid Gillen, that just lady I were talking about her the other day, how she was the standard in figure. And now you have, probably someone like Jessica Reyes Padilla or probably
Yeah.
Prescott, who could
Yeah.
possibly get a title.
Yeah, I think I'm honestly so stoked for Missy. I think she's going to be absolutely insane in the figure division. I mean if you look at her in her physique round for fitness, she looks like she belongs in the top 5 for figure. Like you're watching and you're like, is this fitness or figure? Like, so I'm really excited to see how she does, when she moves over to figure and competes.
I know some people think about would she do well in physique, but the question is, she often says she doesn't want to do it. But this is I think I pulled up a while there's the comparison between her and Missy, and some
Yeah.
ways,
Oh, totally.
yeah, but I think she said she don't want to do physique. But I think because I think with I think Sarah, she's more leaner. She has that
Mhm.
certain X factor. If Missy works on maybe her size and conditioning, she can probably do just as well in WPD.
Well, I think too, a lot of people, and I joked after nationals to do fitness because of my figure skating background. Like I can do a front handspring and the splits or whatever. And I think what a lot of people don't pay attention to with fitness is like they're doing all of those tricks so depleted. So I think sometimes, and again, I'm not any sort of fancy prep coach or high level coach, but I'm assuming for fitness, they're not shooting for crazy conditioning because they want to still be able to have sufficient, substance to be able to do their tricks and stuff like that. So I think honestly, I think if Missy wanted to, I think she could. It's probably the fact that, her and Shelby may have not necessarily like grinded conditioning as hard and she still looks amazing. So you think if she didn't have to worry about, the fitness stuff, which now she doesn't have to, I think she could kill it in any division that she wanted to. She is like the true definition of like a hybrid athlete.
Yeah, I remember the injury she got doing 2023 because I remember,
Mhm.
people say, "Hey George, you saw this?" And wait, what saw it? Somebody sent me the video. I said, "Oh my God!" It was her and also Whitney Jones that got hurt
So
doing
yeah,
their routines, and it's tough because you think about it. You got to move, jump, do this, do that. Sometimes
yeah,
sometimes you come behind stage behind the competitors who are covered in tanning and oil, and you never know, you might slip,
totally.
especially if you don't properly clean the area. These women gotta do these moves like that, you know, and you should make sure properly clean. Get a squeegee or something, mop,
Mhm.
just whatever. Here we have here for my man KL, he says to you, shout to KL, he says, you look just right,
Thanks, man.
also he asks you, this is another question he likes to ask. He says, do you still figure skate as a hobby at times? So you still
I
do it because yeah.
I like to. I worked for 14 years on, achieving all these skills, like learning and mastering all these jumps. Unfortunately, with the back injury last year, I stayed away from the ice. And now moving forward, I'm going to be moving clinics here in probably the next month or so. My hand surgeon is unfortunately retiring.
Oh,
But I'll have more time, so that's kind of my goal is to get back into skating and get back into some of those things that I really enjoy doing outside of the gym and work.
yeah. Well, take your time, take it easy. You like I said, you just recover from the back injury. You don't want to pull anything because injuries can set back. I like for me, I have issues physically because I'm older, work most of my life, been kind of bigger
For sure.
dude, lost some weight. I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And yeah, I try to take care of myself now that I'm getting up in age, and you're still young
Yeah.
and spry.
Yeah, but
And
still, I get it. Well, and I
yeah,
think too, like I see it every day at work, and I think, um, the person across the table from me, I almost like have that teenager like invincibility complex where it's like, oh, like that won't be me. But, something like that happens last year, and it's like, holy crap, like, I mean, that is me. Like I'm now this patient and I now have to navigate this injury. And it just kind of gave me, honestly, it was the silver lining out of it. It gave me such a big perspective for the patient and a little bit more empathy. Because for me, like, hey, I know this hurts and that sucks, but like, you just gotta like kind of do it. So, it was nice to have that experience because now I feel like I can at least empathize with my patients a little bit more.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, man. I feel like I could pop back from anything. I feel like I was Wolverine. I can get injured and
Right?
pop back. But now I feel like old man Logan. It's just, I'm just like I get up in the morning. I feel like Ozzy Osbourne. Sharon, Sharon, what the bloody fuck, Sharon? I mean, it's just,
Well,
but
and it's like I can't sleep on a certain couch, or like I can't sit on a certain couch because it hurts my back. I've become the person I hate the most. Like, oh, I can't do that. My makes my back hurt. Like that I hate that. And
yeah, you
that's
sit
me.
around, you sit around your dad say, "Oh, baby, my back hurt." So mine's too. Dad say, "Well, you're still young. You'll be all right." But
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when we growing up, we used to, we lived out in the country. We used to carry wood, cut wood. I remember I didn't pull my back once. I was young. I mean, I was going to school like, I said, what's wrong? I sprained my back. I just came to school anyway because I didn't want to get tardy. But yeah, it's a thing about the body. It's an amazing machine. It can do so much things,
Mhm.
but once we get older, we can't do like we used to. When you get past 40, you can't just jump and move and run like you used to because sometimes you can sneeze the wrong way and you're like, oh, my neck's cracked.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah. I
crazy.
mean, I'll still play slow pitch a lot. And I used to just be able to kind of roll up to a game, 10 minutes before a game and kind of throw maybe once or twice and be ready. And I need like a full like 15-minute warm up. Like I need to like throw at certain distances and work my way out. Like I totally am at that point too in this lifetime where I need to warm up for things.
Yeah. So one thing I like to ask you, ladies, what is your mindset when you're dealing with, especially after the shows? I know there's talk about post-show blues, after-show blues. Dealing with, when you're on that stage and you see yourself conditioned and you're shredded and you're top shape. What's your mindset when you are, you hadn't competed since 2023,
Hmm.
and right now you're planning on compete. What do you feel like when you are after the shows and before the shows? Are you as a competitor?
Well, I think for me the hardest part and something I had to really kind of like realize that I did was, I got my pro card and I said, okay, what's next? Like I didn't really stop to celebrate. Like this is especially at nationals in Texas, like this is a big deal and I should be proud of myself. And honestly, I really it was very like short-lived that I felt any sort of pride. And then, as you navigate post show, prior to this last show, it was more of like the regrets of like, hey, I wasn't big enough, or hey, I could have been a little leaner, or hey, this, and this. But this last show, I had a major change with clinics I was working at. I was transitioning to working with this new hand surgeon, and I had about 6 weeks of downtime between clinics and work, and so you have all this time to kind of sit in your feels, and you're not working and distracting yourself. So for me, the post show blues honestly were really, really intense. And the best way that I managed it, I was super super transparent with Justin, like, hey, I'm really struggling. And then my girlfriend was super super supportive, and so I had this little community around me that was really great to rely on and talk these things out. But honestly, the best way to mitigate those post-show blues is to jump back into your routine, set out your goals like, hey, this is going to be my plan. This is what we're doing moving forward. And then first and foremost, just trying to get healthy again. Shows take a huge toll on your body. So if you just prioritize health and then, you set those kind of short-term to long-term goals, and you have something to work towards again, I think that's a great way to kind of mitigate that.
That's good. That's good. You had a plan. My other guy, he works like this. I don't have a plan. I'm just dog chasing cards. If I get one, I know what to do with it. That's how it is. But oh yes, you have to have a plan. You understand? But I'm just an agent
Yeah.
of chaos and anarchy. Because you know what? We get to the sport. Most people, and I always say this: the everyday person think about bodybuilding. It's like I just take steroids and just build this muscle and yada yada and yada yada. No, this is what it is. You have to have plans. You have to have, you understand, you have to have discipline,
Hmm.
consistency, follow a diet, work on the things like your strengths and your weaknesses.
Hmm.
There's so much more involved with it. I have ladies who tell me, guys who have become friends who are pros, say, George, if they took the shit I took, the gear I took, they wouldn't look as good as me because if they did not follow the plan they're giving, they didn't follow the diet, do the rest day, do their cardio, lift this, lift that. if they don't do all that work, you're not going to look like on stage what you see there. You're just going to look like something different.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead.
naturally as humans, our minds and our bodies are designed to be as efficient as humanly possible. We want to do the smallest amount to elicit the greatest response. So I think sometimes, and especially, in the female mind, we kind of are able to override that a little bit because we know, it's just, biology. We are not going to accumulate tissue like men, no matter what. And so I think a lot of times, like, men can have this attitude that, hey, like, I can, push that, 70, 65% and still look great. And honestly, I see a lot of guys that do, and they look great. You see the elite and some of the top pros around, and, they're able to override that, and they look the way they look because of that. So I think, women we tend to override that, hey, we want to do as little as possible. A lot, especially in these more muscular divisions, we want to we want to full send our sets.
Yeah. One lady who I'm a fan of that represents bodybuilding, and I have this issue, and a friend of mine got it for me a while back. Is Andrea Shaw. I love her.
Absolutely. The
And
goat.
this is why I do this content. I like to pull this out because, as the other guy says, hey, goodness, I've never do it free. She took the time off. She signed this for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
A friend of mine was at the Olympia back in 2023, and she was there, and she talked to her, and she mentioned me, and we were talking about it. And everybody's not going to be the Andreas or the other competitors. If you don't follow the plan, you don't follow the system, you don't follow what your trainers working with you.
Yeah,
Genetics is one thing, but sometimes you have to put in the hard work. Like,
absolutely.
we have a comment here from a man. This is from Little Twilight. He says, "Do you still do things like push-ups, pull-ups, or nah?"
Well, I have not done push-ups necessarily as much as I would say prior. I think calisthenics, so like body weight exercises, I think they have a place for everybody. I just think from a muscle building standpoint, or from like any sort of like a stimulus to that, to your pecs. I think, the some of the machine that put you in that push-up plane, kind of where we have that horizontal push. I think sometimes those are just more efficient. Pull-ups, we're still working in that frontal plane, so right here, and we're using our body weight essentially. And so I still use pull-ups, but push-ups I've gotten away from, for a multitude of reasons. Like I said, one, I like loading weight better on the horizontal pressing machines. And two, you can create so many issues with your shoulders when it comes to push-ups. So risk worth versus reward. I just push-ups just for me aren't functional.
Yeah, I can tell you about this because a while back I went to see my orthopedics, and he told me I have a tear right here in this shoulder here, and I
Oh,
was having really,
nice.
yeah, a little tear, and right here I have like a spur right about here. Years of heavy working, lifting,
Yeah, for sure.
doing man's work, you know. But yeah, it can be a wear tear. It's good to find alternatives to help you in your process.
Mhm.
That's why we go back to the injury thing. So this is a question I like to ask you, ladies, and I often ask y'all, particular thing, because I'm a particular type of villain. What is that thing you wanted the most? Especially you just did nationals, and you just been on prep, and you're hangry, and you're dehydrated. What was that thing, lady, that you wanted the most? That thing that you
Oh my God.
desire?
Well, the first thing I
Ah.
wanted was like a half a gallon of water. Like I wanted to slam. I didn't, I slammed probably about 1,000 milliliters. Like that's the first thing. I always make sure I hydrate after. And then I really, Justin was like, "Hey, I know we had a really hard prep. I would appreciate if you didn't do sugar." And so I sat there and I'm like, I get it. I totally get where you're coming from, Justin, but like I love ice cream so much. There's this donut place by, in Seattle area in Washington, we're known for our coffee and stuff. So of course donuts too. And I went to this donut shop and got the donut and then got a thing of Ben and Jerry's and cut a sliver out of the Ben and Jerry's and made like a sandwich. And that's like all that I wanted. Like I have great self-restraint, but I love sugar. And so I did sushi, I did all that stuff. I think, did I do a burger? I think I didn't. I think I did eggs Benedict for breakfast, but I just wanted that donut ice cream sandwich. That was like all I
Yeah.
wanted.
Donut ice cream. Ooh, that sounds like a like day. I might try that
Right?
one of these days. I
You
don't know.
honestly try it. Go get a Krispy Kreme, find your favorite ice cream, and then just make a sandwich.
I know there's a Chris Street place in Fayetteville. That's like about 45, 50 miles from where I stay at. But I can go to the local store and get it. But yeah, I mean, sugar. I gotta be careful. I'm pretty diabetic because it's in my family. My
Oh, so you
mother
gotta be
had it.
careful. Okay, for
Yeah, I gotta
sure.
be careful. It be calling me, man. Be calling me like crap. I said like crap. And one thing I'll say like this, I keep saying this to people, and when anytime I hear like say, I love sushi. Hell no. I grew up poor. Last thing I want to eat is
Is
cold raw
sushi.
fish. No. Cold raw fish, no. No.
No, sir.
Never. Man, I'm from the South. We don't believe in that. We cook
No, I'll
our
say you
food
guys
our
don't
own
do
way.
sushi.
Well, I know some people do sushi here around here, but just not me. That's not
Okay,
never
for
me.
sure.
Yeah. So like we working out, what's that thing you love the most about working out? The thing you like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, you just
I kind of like, and I mean, every single major fitness person has always said, you can mentally override what your body can physically do. And I think I like it's almost just like a high, like when you're doing like a heavy set and you feel your body's like about to fail, you can literally talk yourself out of that. And I think that's just so empowering. And that's kind of my favorite part is like I have a really hard day or like it was a really heavy day of patience and I just go like I can do hard things. And before those top sets, like I can do this. Like this is hard, but I can do this. And then getting to that number that I was shooting for or getting close to that number is just the greatest feeling. And then, if, I'm supposed to do this heavy hack squat set for, 8 and I only get 6 or 7, I ruminate on that until the next week when I get to try it again. And then when I go try it again and I have that extra fire and I'm able to complete it, like it feels so amazing that something I couldn't do last week, like I can do this week.
yeah, it's kind of like I like one thing. My favorite movie is the Rocky series. The Rocky says, no matter how much you think you can hit, how much you take to hit, keep moving forward. Because life can
Yep.
beat you down and
Yep.
bring you to your
Exactly.
knees. And it's
Yeah.
good to it's good to find out how far you can go, how far it can take. Go to the
Absolutely.
next level. So now the plan is to compete for 2025.
Yep.
And you're gonna do physique, right?
Yes, that's the plan right now. I don't foresee going back to figure. When I was backstage at nationals and Sandy was back there giving us feedback, I asked, I said, okay, like the $1 million question, like what are your thoughts, like physique, figure? And she said they really loved me in physique, which I honestly was kind of surprised. I mean, we just kind of did physique because it was fun. And I think that was kind of the secret to it is, figure, I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself for nationals, especially for figure. I hadn't competed in 2 years. This was kind of like my revenge season, my comeback. And physique was just fun. So I mean, I think that's kind of the secret, even as a pro. Like I'm just I'm looking forward to potentially prepping because I just want to have fun.
Yeah, you gotta love this because you know what? Most people wouldn't want to get into sport because, as again, here I can talk about this. This sport is a very expensive hobby sport. It's not like
Yes,
any other
definitely.
sport. Like think about it. If you can do major league, softball, you can make a living off of that.
Yeah, to
Or
a
even
degree.
to
Still
agree.
kind of, yeah, to a degree.
Yeah, but then softball is more known. You can go watch it on
Yes,
ESPN. You
totally.
can't. Bodybuilding used to be on ESPN, but you don't even see that anymore.
No, not
And
at all.
yeah, and the cost of it for y'all ladies because you have to wear the bedazzled suits. You have
Mhm.
to have hair. You have a lot of hair and makeup done, and the tanning. When for the guys, they have expenses too, like the foods and everything else, and also supplements. But they just got to wear a pair of banana hammocks and boy shorts. That's it.
Yeah, they literally roll out of bed. Like we have to get up at like 2:45 or 3 in the morning to get our hair and makeup done, to get our tans, and like they literally can just roll out of bed. They get another lap of tan and they're ready to go on stage.
Yeah,
Like
and the hair don't have to do anything unless you just
no,
have a little mousse in it or shave it and just head on
yep,
out. Just
and
it's so
just go
easy for
on
us
out.
guys. It's
Yep,
easy for us guys. This is the old term. Just shit, shirt, and shave. That we're out. Y'all ladies
that's
have to
literally
really,
it. Yep.
yeah. I know your girlfriend be in there and say, she's like, oh my God, what's taking forever? I'm ready to go. Just give
Yeah.
me 5 more minutes, baby. It's 2.5
Yeah,
hours later.
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I'm lucky. So she's the very detail oriented one. I am the one that, like, if we're looking on Amazon, I'll look and go, yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna buy it. Where she'll look at the reviews and she'll do research. So I appreciate she's very attentive to detail, and she's a hairdresser, so I get my hair done for free, which is nice. And she spends a lot of time on my hair when we're before the show. So I think the qualifier, we did something really different with my hair, and she's like, hey, that literally took like 3 hours. We can't do that again.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so I'm lucky that she kind of grounds me and she keeps me in check, like, hey, no, this needs to take time. Like, we can't
Yeah.
just rush.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you have that, because you know what?
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially in the sport, it's tough to be in a relationship because
Oh, for sure.
this sport can take a lot out of you. It's
Hmm.
mentally, physically, financially, emotionally draining.
Yeah.
I've interviewed a couple of ladies that they said their husband divorced them because they got into bodybuilding, because
Yeah.
they were changing, the aspects of what it is to be feminine. Because a purpose, and this is how I like this. Men's purpose is to build, battle, and breed. That's it.
Hmm.
Women, you are nurturers. You take care of our children. You
Yeah.
raise our families. You're the ones we lean on when we need it. But then when you're like a couple, like I knew quite a few couples who are both bodybuilders, and sometimes prep can be tough.
Yeah.
It's good that she's there to to be your foil, to help you settle, to bring you down to earth. Where
Yeah, for sure.
this sport can really mess you up mentally and physically.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I see both sides of the coin when it comes to, bodybuilders getting divorced. There are some where I truly feel like a lot of times bodybuilding can help really empower people, whether it's, the man or the woman. Like, it kind of helps create this new set of confidence that they might not have had. And they're becoming this best version of themselves. However, their significant other is not wanting to grow with them. They want to kind of keep them in this box. But then I see the other side where, some people get into bodybuilding and they kind of act like, they're the best thing since sliced bread, and like they're better than their spouse and they're better than everybody. And they do, destruct or destroy their marriage. So I think, it's never an excuse when you're on prep to be, any sort of way to your significant other. And I'm really lucky, and I think communication has been such a big soundboard. Hey, like, I just don't have the bandwidth today, I'm really tired. And keeping the communication really close. But yeah, I mean, I was divorced, and it was kind of the same thing. I found this new voice and this new sense of self-confidence, and my ex-wife couldn't handle it, and so here I am.
Oh, well, that's tough. Sometimes, there's times that this sport can either strengthen relationship, or it can maybe find the cracks in it.
Yeah,
And if that thing, especially for women, you're supposed to be in this certain little box. Instead,
totally.
you're supposed to be the homemaker. You're supposed to be that, not the, like, with some ladies who I know who have kids, your mom's pumping up, say, hey, your mom's stronger than your dad. And I think like in some relationships, it can be a bit, daunting, because you're seeing this person that you used to be with changing. And
Mhm.
sometimes you either have to change with them, or, just, we lift back. Either you evolve. Here's how I basically say it like this: you either evolve or become extinct. That's the choice you
Totally.
have. Yeah.
And I,
We
and I
got.
think it
Go
truly
ahead.
comes down to, as well as, the concept of unconditional love. Like, in retrospect, I think that's kind of like, hey, it's the conditional love of, hey, you need to fit this certain box, or you need to be in this box for me to love you. And really what it should be with, your partner who's a bodybuilder is like, I love you no matter what you do. Of course, that bodybuilder needs to treat their partner with respect and love, even if they're hungry and irritable. But there should be a component of unconditional love with that.
hmm Here we got coming from man KL. Shout out to him. Thank you for supporting me, brother, and sticking in here. He says, "You look like you could be on my top five."
Dog, I don't even know what that means. I'm
I
sorry. I don't
don't
even know what that means.
yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, he might be thinking, he does content also on bodybuilding. I think he just did an interview today with a lady who's also,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
No worries,
yeah,
man.
yeah, that's all right. He's,
Yeah.
yeah, he can be a little weird at times, but
Yeah, of
yeah,
course. That's no worries.
yeah. But understanding the sport is a tough thing about it, especially
Yeah, for sure.
outside. I know I've talked to ladies, friends, and relationships have changed, and still it's good to have support of your
Yeah.
family, your friends, your girlfriend, your
Hmm.
coach. It's necessary, it's needed because this sport, as I said again, can be a lot for any
Yeah, for
person.
sure.
Because here this is why I say like this. When we like us, like I'm an outsider. I'm not a competitor. I'm a guy who does content about your ladies. And
Hmm.
I have a crime again. I'm a muscle Paris smile. And we go to the shows and we see y'all men and women up on the stage. We see these bodies,
Hmm.
great shape, muscularity, all that. But we don't understood what we don't understand what took you back there. The diet, the training, the
Hmm.
hydration, being hungry, so much to this. We see these amazing bodies, with just on this walk around the stages, but we don't understand the so much this risk that you put into the sport. And it's again
Yeah,
for y'all
for sure.
women, you have to love this sport because you know what? There's not as much benefits to get out there. If you're lucky enough, if you're like the top competitors, you can do make a really good living in it, but the everyday person, you gotta find ways. So you got a good job, you got a good income, try to find ways to save because you want to compete for the next season, take a break and rest. And some people have to do ways to find other ways to make income. So, but it's there's so much that's to the sport that I think people need to understand, educate themselves about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, my college teammates when I first got into it, they're like, "Well, like, that's cool. Like, what would you say the biggest difference is?" And and this is for anybody, listening. We a lot of us, played football or track or, whatever sport we did. When we went to practice, we locked in at practice and then we could leave it at practice until, the next game or the next practice, whatever. When you're hungry, you can't turn that off. Like you're always hungry, you're always tired. And you can't, like, yes, you could in theory fix it, hey, I'll sleep, or hey, I'll eat. But a lot of times, like, especially like you said, the sport's expensive. We all, for the most part, have jobs. Like we have such a small window of time throughout the day that like we don't turn that off. Like we can't turn the hunger off. Like we could, in college when I had a bad practice, I could leave it at practice, go to bed, and it'd be a new day and it was fine.
Yeah, yeah, there's so much involved in it. Like, are you right now having sponsorships? Anybody reach out to being sponsored?
I am a BioXL athlete. They are an HRT company that's based out in Florida. I believe there's multiple owners, but one of the main ones, DT Roth, I work with pretty closely. It's just essentially a company that works very closely with you. They have a doctor on staff that kind of helps you get your blood work done. You talk about specific goals you have, whether it's HRT or peptides, and they get you set up with not only the HRT stuff or the peptides, but high quality stuff that has been prescribed and, has gone through the necessary steps through the pharmacy and things like that. So, especially for myself in a rehab setting for work, the peptides for me have been such a big thing to talk about with, BPC 157 and TB 500. They essentially are kind of the holy grail of rehabbing soft tissue disorders and helping heal people way faster.
That's pretty good. That's good. I mean, most people would just say, okay, I just take this and take that. I'll be okay. But it's good that you have a doctor on call to help you out with your
Yeah,
blood work. That's the most important thing about, especially with y'all women. Women and men are biologically different. We might
totally.
have the same organs like that, but it's that what separates is our biology. Women, you have natural higher BMI than men. Men have
Mhm.
more natural testosterone. Y'all have more natural estrogen, and you need that testosterone to help you build that muscle. That's why steroids, everything's just a small factor to it, but it's
Totally.
an important part of development as an athlete. So, but
Yeah,
that's good that you have sponsors because you know what? There'll be guys out there say, "Hey, lady, I saw you, yeah, 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 Greek goddess, if you
exactly.
wanna, yeah, no, 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 no. This is why I keep doing this, and I do this because it's an example where what I would like to see is very professional people saying, Miss Politis, we are so, interested in you. You have just a great personality, a great spirit, your history, your passion for bodybuilding, your work in the medical field. We would like to offer you a position as a sponsored athlete. So if you like,
Exactly.
yeah, if you like our product and it feels like something you can use in your process or you might need, or you just feel comfortable with what we are providing, just let us know. And we'll set everything up for you and we'll help you in your process as a professional athlete.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I always think about, we kind of decide how we want to present ourselves on social media. And I've never been the one that wants to be, super revealing on Instagram. It's just not who I am. I've always wanted to be the intellect. And, we do have, very, very talented people when it comes to, biomechanics and exercise selection and programming. I look at like Luke Miller, who's with John Jewett. And he's such a force, and that's kind of like what I want to present to the bodybuilding community is I want to be that, rehab specialist. Someone messages me, hey, this is really hurting, like what do you think? And that's kind of what I've been doing with DT, who's with BioXL. He had some crazy shoulder issues, and we just kind of worked together to mitigate and take him through different phases of rehab so that he could push and go full send, and not let his shoulder hold him back. So, that's always been kind of my goal is, I want those to look at me as, not just a female with a ton of muscle, but as an intellect as well.
Well, I respect your mind, man, but as a muscle person, I can't help
Absolutely.
but your
Absolutely.
mind.
Hey,
Ah,
my
ah.
photographer, my photographer got some good angles. Pat Bangley is amazing.
Yeah, he does some good work. I mean,
Yeah.
you ever want to ever work with someone else? Like one guy I interviewed a while back, he is great. He's one of the top guys photographing women in bodybuilding. That's Sean Nelson. He's really good.
Oh yeah,
Also,
he's super talented as a photographer. And again, another thing about me, like loyalty, and I know this obviously like nationally, you travel and stuff, and of course, if I were to ever make it to the Olympia, and Sean's based in Vegas, of course, but Pat has been out here in Seattle, has been so good to me, and him and I have become such good friends. It would honestly feel weird to have anyone else photograph or film me besides him. I'm not against the idea, but when you have someone that's, not only professionally you have a good relationship with, but is also a good friend, you want to stick with that.
yeah, respect for that.
But
He told me doing an interview, the one person he would love to photograph if he had the opportunity to that is Brooke Walker. Brooke is signed with
oh yeah,
HQ. Brooke has
yeah,
a beautiful physique, great line, just
yeah,
all American girl look. I felt like she should have won.
absolutely.
I think she should have won in 2022, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I'm just
that was kind of the posing routine I watched, honestly, when I was deciding the individual from that year from the Olympia. That's what I watched when I was trying to learn poses and stuff like that. And that's kind of I was like, wow, like this looks great. Like I think I can do this.
well, it's good that you understand the factors of it, because most people they don't understand what it takes to what's involved with being a bodybuilder, the work, the
Yeah.
consistency, the patience, the discipline, the sometimes get up early in the morning to go training, to
Uh-huh.
eating because same food every other day, and just the work that's involved in it. And doing this content, and I often say like this, I get to learn something for
Yeah.
myself. Because one point I was almost 500 pounds. And I keep telling the story because it's a true
Oh
story.
wow.
So I took care of I took care of my mom for a long time. She was sick. I was taking care of her, and food was a comfort. And doing this content about you ladies also was something to help me my mindset, because I
Mhm.
needed to do something, because dealing with her stuff, it was a lot, and my brothers and sisters were doing their thing. And no offense to them, they but still someone's had to be here, because my mother was my woman, and and
Yeah,
I
for
stood by
sure.
her. And when she passed, I said, you know what, I don't have anything else but me. And I sat down, so I was like, I was like, wow, I got really big. What it was, the food and everything else. And then, and I said, you know what, I got to make some changes. And talking with you ladies, and some ladies who were like myself, who was overweight. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I just started working out at home, and then I was going to the gym for a
Yeah.
while, but then my knees are bothering me. I got some setbacks, and it's hard to travel when you got a car in the shop. I got to get it out. So,
Yeah, for
yeah.
real.
Yeah. And I learned a lot when doing this, and I do appreciate the time I get to talk to you ladies.
Yeah, for sure.
One day I would love to. This is my dream. I would love to talk to Andrea, because I love her. But you know what? I enjoy talking to someone like yourself. I just talked to a young lady also turned pro last year at the nationals, and people like Michelle and
Mhm.
so many other competitors in this division. Like I said, you know, I respect what y'all ladies do. And also, as I said again, I am a muscle person. I just love y'all. You excite me. But I do respect your commitment and passion for this sport. And I wish, this is why I say I wish there was more benefits to it. financially wise, where
Yeah.
now you're a pro. You're paying like $275 a year for his card. I wish there was more benefits to it. Like if you
Yeah.
get hurt or get injured, you're taken care of. If you like my friend, he's IFBB pro. We do a podcast together. Must Talk Money. We do it tomorrow. He used to play for the NFL for 7 years.
Mhm.
He still gets a pension from it because he put in during the
Yep.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's yep.
Yeah. I just really respect what y'all do. And also I'm still learning so much when doing this content, doing interviews. Like guys like me and David, KL, the other guys who do a lot of contact you ladies, we really learn something. We enjoy talking with y'all and understanding, and like I said again, we just are just fans, not just of of your bodies, yes, but also of your commitment and your passion, you know. I think like any guy, we see a woman, we get attracted, but once you get to know to her and understand her mind, who she is, that's a great thing. That's like any relationship, like you and your
Mhm.
girlfriend, she probably met you, say, hey, I think she's cute, and then you got to know each other, and y'all really now are together, and you're starting your own family. That's good for you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely no kids. We have a cat. That's our child. And that's it. No kids.
Well,
I'm doing the world a favor and I'm not procreating. We don't need another Eleni in the world.
no, I have no children either. My oldest sister, she keeps saying, "We ain't gonna have a baby. We gonna need to get a baby." I'm 50 years old now. If the window is shut for me. All she wants to do is to me have a baby so she can spoil it. Most
Of
of her nieces and
course.
nephews are grown and they have babies. She's a grandmother. She's not. She was one point. She was almost going to be a great grandmother till my great nephew, his girlfriend had a miscarriage, but it's going to
Uh-huh.
happen someday. He's still a young man. My youngest nephew, he has 8 kids. She's happy. He's about to have another 10th, and
Wow.
it's good that that you found yourself in this sport, found
Yeah,
yourself a
definitely.
passion, and with your relationship with your coach and your relationship with your family and friends. That's good because I know they told me that it's tough, especially you don't have nobody in your corner and people
Yeah.
making comments and just like the everyday guy saying like you just got a little muscle, you trying to be like me, trying to be a man. No, she's not trying to be a man. She's an athlete, been an athlete since
Yep.
most of your
Just an
life,
athlete.
and you love what you do because you gotta love what you do in the sport.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me specifically too, like, from the mental conditioning stuff we did in college, like, if I think I'm pretty lucky. I haven't had the volume of negative comments I think like some of my fellow competitors have. Like, I just don't like, short-term memory blinders, like I don't even pay attention to it. So, they're not worth the energy. And I really I don't think I ever realized, a lot of people will come up to me at the gym or like, tell me at work, like a patient or whatever, like you guys are such inspirations to us. And like I've always said, like, I'm not that special. Like I like to lift and I like having a routine. But I mean, in retrospect, like all of us that are operating at this high level in these more muscular divisions, I mean, we truly are an inspiration. I mean, it's the fact that, despite what even like biology says, like you're not supposed to be that muscular, we're able to push past that barrier and work smart and work hard, and we can accumulate that tissue that we need to be competitive in these more muscular divisions.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have to work hard and to focus on what you want. You can't worry about
Mhm.
anybody else. You got to make
Yeah,
yourself happy. If you can't,
totally.
that's the thing. You got to make yourself happy because if that person's not don't like what that's them. That's something like my
Yep.
man Bernie Mac said, if people don't like who you are, fuck them. Because
Yep,
you know what,
exactly.
you gotta live for you. You can't live for nobody else.
Totally.
So, folks, we do appreciate Eleni, it's time here with us. Wish her best of luck in this upcoming season. Like I said, there's quite a few shows for Women's Physique coming up. You're in Washington State, so and you live, you're famous from Chicago. It's always Chicago Pro.
There is Chicago Pro. I think
Yeah.
that's a little too early in the season. I would like to probably try to. I'm hoping because Justin lives down in Florida, and I'd really like him to physically be there. And Florida's a nice. It's nice, from compared to Washington. So I think the idea is potentially to compete down in Florida later in the fall. So again, we'll just kind of see what happens. But man, I would truly love my debut to be in Chicago, but that it's just too early in the year for me.
Yeah, just like I said, I think there's two shows after, especially post after Olympia and before the Olympia. There's the Daytona, that's one. There's Atlantic Coast.
Well, they
They,
pulled women's physique from Daytona, so there is
they
no.
did?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow. What?
they pulled women's physique from St. Louis Pro,
I know
from
that one.
Daytona, and then from Legion this year.
And they're not going to have a Triple O Dynasty because,
Yes.
no sponsors. But I didn't know about the Daytona.
Yeah.
Wow. Just me and some friends, we just talked about this afternoon. We just saw that they dropped women's bodybuilding from the Texas Pro. That really pissed me off because
Yeah, and the Texas Pro. You
I'm a
know,
women's bodybuilding fan.
and
I just,
And I think too, I sit there and gripe, and I pulled the numbers for how many shows there are for each division. And I think one that gets commonly looked over, and I know they're not more muscular, but fitness is another one that's a huge problem that we're not seeing enough representation for the fitness gals either. I think I saw bikini has about 112. I think wellness has like 80 something. Figure only has like 50. And then women's physique only has about, I think, like 28, and then women's bodybuilding has like 13 for
yeah.
IFBB pro shows. So and you understand, obviously, the other divisions are the money makers, like understandable. But the lack of representation in these other divisions is just really sad. And, it is also on us as the competitors to compete and show up at these shows so that there's more revenue. So I understand that as well. There's two sides to the coin, but it's so disheartening. Like, Daytona would have been a perfect time frame for me. And to see that they pulled women's physique, like, okay,
Yeah,
never
because
mind.
I didn't see it because, like I said, I'm more a fan of women's bodybuilding. I have to do a lot of content on Wednesday. I know the lady I interviewed the lady who a while back, Marika Jones. She was the last one to earn her Olympic qualification at St. Louis. What they say because there's only 5 competitors in St. Louis. I also interviewed the lady who won at the Pittsburgh. There was 3 competitors. I actually interviewed the 3 competitors from the Pittsburgh, but it's still gonna have big money for that show. But I heard
Yeah,
that I heard that there was going to cancel Omaha just because there was so few competitors at the St. Louis. I think about it, it takes longer for these competitors to get ready. And
yeah.
I interviewed the competitor who won at Legion's that day before she was competing. That's Sergeant Yvonne Pennington. Her birthday was this past Friday. I interviewed her the day right before the show, and a friend of mine, Jada, she was doing physique. She was figure. She started out figure. She turned pro in physique. She was doing bodybuilding for a couple of years, and she made a return back to physique at the Daytona back in 2023. But now she switched over to wellness and bikini wellness. I call them the TNA divisions because and now you got this new division coming out. Excuse me, called Fit Model. I mean,
I think from an IFBB standpoint, it makes my eyebrows raise a little bit. I think for the people who are curious as like amateurs and like, hey, maybe I'll like this. At the end of the day, what's going to generate revenue? So great, as an amateur sector, fine, because we're seeing now bikini get so muscular. So like, what are you going to do? Are you going to tell these bikini competitors to, you know, chill out on muscle? Not necessarily. I mean, they're insane. Some of these bikini girls are incredible that they're so tiny, yet their shoulders and their glutes are huge. So the fitness model, I think from an amateur standpoint, fine. That's great. The only thing that sucks, and granted, I'm not a spectator, I sometimes will go watch, is the shows are going to be so long now. It's going to make the shows so long. It's going to be a marathon.
I remember I was a friend of mine. She was at Universe last year, and I interviewed a young lady who got a pro card at that show. They say it was 600 bikini competitors at that show.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I said, "How did you get your pro card? With that many competitors at that show, and you get, I mean, and yeah, because one point you got to think about if it gets to the pro level, you got to think about a show like the Olympia or Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, even though Arnold, this is my favorite quote from my favorite movie, Batman Begins. Even though
Mhm.
Arnold right behind quality behind wins by the way with physique and figure and stabbing
Yeah.
the heart,
Yeah.
it's just I understand the money thing about it, but here's the thing is, you brought in this division. In no offense,
Mhm.
I've interviewed a few bikini competitors, both in amateurs and pros, and you brought in this division to come in to be a look that get away from a certain other look when you look at women's bodybuilding because it came in before Physique, bikini.
Mhm.
But because of the extreme nature of the sport and of the influence of the sport, the athletes are evolving. So you're going to bring in another division. It's going to end up being like that division in another, I won't say
Another
10
lifetime.
years,
Yeah.
another 5 years. I'm going to cut it because
Mhm.
how things are changing. Stuff that, I mean, I have a friend told me she's a judge and IFBB pro. She told me, hey, even bikini girls are asking about gear. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
just going
gotten
to
out of hand.
evolve. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just going to
crazy.
evolve. You set a criteria for these divisions, and instead of enforcing those criterias, I know you say it's too late. We can't tell the athletes to do that, but you should say, okay, I'm seeing athletes that are looking like they should go to Physique. Go to Physique. Don't go to women. If you're
Move
a
up.
bikini competitor, you look like you should be doing figure, do figure. If you are a figure competitor look like doing Physique, do Physique. And if you are a Physique competitor doing you know, you should go up to women's bodybuilding. You
Totally.
yeah, you have to go where your body's taking you, or
Yeah,
either you cut back in your training and pull back a little bit, more cardio, less heavy weights, and even change your diet if you want to stay in the criteria. But it's hard to
totally.
do that. Yeah, once you open that genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. Shout out to my
Yes.
man XA Gucci 23 coming through. My brother, he says, "Happy Sunday, brother George and Eleni." Thank you, brother. Thank you for coming through. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, folks, we appreciate for coming. The lovely Miss Politis for coming through here, and we appreciate the time she's given us.
Yeah, for
Great,
sure.
great conversation, great back and forth. I enjoy doing this with y'all ladies. Get a good,
Yeah, thank you.
sense of This is my favorite quote from my favorite movie. No, never, you never have to thank me. That's why I have this show. This is why I have this channel. Even though it's not as big, it's still growing. I enjoy talking to you ladies. I enjoy getting a perspective. Understand what it takes for y'all to get involved in this sport. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make, a lot of time, money, effort you got to put into it. And anybody
Mhm.
who do this sport, you really have to give respect for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I see your girlfriend walking the back. She want to come in for a minute, say hello.
No, she doesn't. She's really shy. I promise you, she
Aw.
doesn't. You'll say hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, hi. You love her,
Yes.
and she loves you.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
They get married. That's not for me. No, no, no. I'm just busting you on the. I just okay. But we do appreciate the time that in any
Yeah,
case. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I know you said no, I don't have to thank you, but thank
Yeah, I
you.
know. I do appreciate it. But this is a question I'm gonna ask you. As a competitor and just as an athlete, what would you want for yourself out of bodybuilding as a whole?
I want to, and I said this about college ball, I want to walk out of bodybuilding better than I came into it. I want the sport to be better because I was in it. And that's pretty much the biggest thing I want is I just want to be a better person. And I want to kind of take some of these memories and experiences I had, in trials and tribulations and be able to relate it to, adult things in life that are going to face me.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's the thing is you have to really understand the process. Not just trust the process, understand the process, understand what's involved in it, and just
Mhm.
make who you want to be the best you want to be. Oh, he has to say something before I let him go. He wants to say something. Says, Eleni, I want to tell you something. You are beautiful.
Thanks, man.
I gotta see a specialist. I mean, my psychologist told me I don't know. I just, he just, yeah. But he completes me. So,
I
folks,
got you.
yeah,
Got
folks,
you.
I appreciate y'all for coming through. I hope y'all enjoying y'all rest of your days. Super Bowl just started. My man Big Keith, that's his team. The Chiefs are playing. Good luck to
Yep.
them. Good luck to the Eagles. Good luck to anybody who's watching. Shout out to my man, Execution 23 coming through. Shout out to little Twilight, and also shout out to my brother KL the Wanderer for coming through. Appreciate it. Anybody who watched this video, share, comment, subscribe, follow us on social media. If you want to follow Eleni, her links are in the live stream of this video. Check her out. Support her. Don't be that weird guy, guys. You get more with a silk glove than an iron fist. And I know what you're doing that iron fist. So thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it and wish you best of luck.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too. And this man always your page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like subscribe, even good night, good luck, and go whoever.